the Democrats are doing something wrong. We're going to say it. We don't care when. We don't care where. We don't care. People go, no, 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 no. That's not good marketing for the Democratic Party. That's not my business. That's not
Yeah.
my job. My job is to be honest. So same with the Republicans. Oh, no, 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 don't hurt Donald Trump's feelings. No, I'm going to hurt his feelings. I don't care. That's not my job, is to protect Kamala Harris or Donald Trump's feelings.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're taking a look at Cenk Uygur's appearance on Brian Tyler Cohen's show, where he's shamelessly defending MAGA while pretending to be the fair and honest guy. Once again, he's critiquing the left to score points. But is this about accountability or just staying relevant? Let's break it down.
What's your red line to the point where you finally recognize whether or not the people who you were talking to at Turning Point USA's AmFest, for example, are not actually operating in good faith, and whether there is, again, to my earlier question, no actual longstanding principle, it's other than fealty to the God King, right? I guess that's what I'm trying to figure out here, because thus far there has been no indication that, even though they say they're for anti-corruption, Donald Trump's the most corrupt guy to ever sit in the Oval Office, even though they say that they're, for the list goes on and on, right? It's the list that we have spoken about earlier. But when will you stop giving certain people at this event, for example, the benefit of the doubt in terms of their actions not matching up to their rhetoric?
Yeah. So I think some things are clear, right? So, for example, we're not going to win on a whole heap of issues, right? So, like, if I try to convince them that the crypto bros are going in the wrong direction,
right,
I'm going to get massive blowback, and I'm never going to win on that.
Correct.
Okay. So that's going to take 4 years and probably us getting robbed to the tune of a couple of $1 trillion before they realize that mistake. Okay. So I'm super realistic about all of these different things. I think that on corruption, they're never going to want to admit in the beginning that Trump is doing favors for their donors. Although, again, I see right-wing hosts and people in their audience going, I understand what you're saying about Jeff Yaz and TikTok. I understand what you're saying about electric vehicles and Elon. So that's the beginning, right? It's not the end. So then my best guess is the anti-war stuff is where the rubber hits the road. So he put in, and Brian, parts of your audience, parts of the left-wing hosts, etc., might not love this, but my sense is that the rubber's probably going to hit the road on Israel. And so here's why. Because Trump put in Marco Rubio, Elise Stefanik, Mike Huckabee, and Mike Walls as Team Miriam. That's his,
right.
The four people that he's handing foreign policy to. Miriam Adelson is a supporter of the hard right wing in Israel. And so they're going to push towards outrageous positions like annexing the West Bank, annexing northern Gaza. Israeli press has already written about this. Israeli cabinet ministers are already excited about this. If they try to annex, for example, the West Bank, it probably will lead to a vicious, bloody war. But I don't know the contours of it. They might just slaughter the Palestinians again. And I'm not naive enough to think that MAGA is going to be like, oh my God, we're losing precious Palestinian and Muslim lives, right? No, but I think at some point they're going to say, look, guys, this is an America first. Why are we paying for another war of Israel?
Cenk Uygur is making a bold claim here, suggesting that the MAGA base might eventually draw the line and question why America is funding another war for Israel. Now, I get the point he's trying to make, that MAGA might wake up to the hypocrisy of their supposed America First agenda. But let's be real here. Has the MAGA base ever shown consistent principles when it comes to holding Trump or his policies accountable? Think about it. Trump's been tied to donor-driven policies and blatant corruption, yet his base continues to back him without hesitation. Are we seriously supposed to believe they're suddenly going to rebel over foreign policy? Or does this feel like wishful thinking on Cenk's part? He's also bringing up the possibility of Israel pushing outrageous moves like annexing the West Bank or northern Gaza, and he's not wrong about the potential for disaster there. But banking on MAGA voters to lead an anti-war movement feels like a stretch. Historically, this base hasn't been about consistency. It's been about loyalty to Trump, no matter what. So, what do you think? Can you see MAGA breaking with Trump over something like this? Or is this just another case of misplaced optimism? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm really curious to hear your perspective on this.
Are we paying for another war of Israel, right?
Yeah.
So And if they don't, though, and then they go, hey, you know what? I mean, now let's do an extreme example. If Trump helps Israel start a war with Iran and says we have to finance it, and they don't rebel, then I was totally wrong. And
I think
you see what I'm saying?
I understand completely, and these are good examples, and it's good to have this sense of like where it could go in the future, and I think that's a realistic example as well. But I think what you are probably giving more credit than I will is this sense that any of this stuff matters, because again, there has been they haven't shown any discernment thus far on any of the things that they claimed were their principles before, and so I'm skeptical at best of this notion that they're going to move away from Donald Trump as soon as he enacts any policy that goes against the grain in terms of what these people claim that they wanted. But again, remains to be seen. I hope you're right. I hope that they do show some discerning behavior toward Donald Trump. I'm skeptical that they will, but I guess we're going to see in the coming months and years here. I want to pivot over to the state of the media right now. Now, you have been, you and the team over at TYT have been critical of the left. Certainly more critical of the left than the right is of the Republican Party, which, that's your prerogative. You're certainly more critical of the Democratic Party than I am. I think that I can learn more from you in terms of bolstering independent media bona fides by virtue of doing that more. And I also think that there's a time and a place to do it. But we are in a media environment right now where we often see that left-wing media kind of bolsters its progressive bona fides by criticizing the left. Right-wing media bolsters its conservative bona fides also by criticizing the left. And so given that massive disparity, especially in light of how it presented itself ahead of this election, where so many people are consuming independent media right now, and that informs so much of their political affiliation, and if it feels like the left is getting hit or the Democrats are getting hit from both sides, it really isn't that surprising then that the Democrats would turn in such a poor performance in this election. Again, if people are really gaining their knowledge from what they see on indie media, does that inform a little bit of how you're going to operate moving forward in this kind of new media environment with so many people kind of sprinting away from legacy media and coming toward independent media, and seeing how the asymmetry in that media ecosystem manifested itself in this election to the benefit of Republicans?
Yeah, so I disagree with one of the assumptions that you layered in there that's so important. I'll get to that in a second. So there's two parts of this conversation. Number one, we do a news show, so we're just going to be honest, period. So
right.
If the Democrats are doing something wrong, we're going to say it. We don't care when, we don't care where, we don't care if people go, no, that's not good marketing for the Democratic Party. That's not my business. That's not my job. My job is to be honest. So same with the Republicans. Oh, no, don't hurt Donald Trump's feelings. No, I'm going to hurt his feelings. I don't care. That's not my job, is to protect Kamala Harris or Donald Trump's feelings.
So what does Cenk Uygur mean by "we don't care when"? Let's be real. This is classic Cenk, pivoting to criticize the left right after the election. And let's not pretend that timing isn't key here. Right after an election, when emotions are running high and everyone's looking for someone to blame, that's when he swoops in with the critique. It's the perfect storm for clicks, views, and engagement. But here's the thing. It's not just about being honest, is it? If you're calling out your own side only when it benefits your platform the most, that's not accountability. That's strategy. And it's a strategy that feels like betrayal. Instead of using this moment to push for unity or build something constructive, he's riding the wave of post-election outrage to stir the pot. It's like throwing gasoline on a fire and then acting like you're the voice of reason. Let's be clear. I'm all for calling out the left when it's needed. We have to hold everyone accountable, no question. But when it's done in a way that looks more like opportunism than principle, it raises a red flag. Cenk isn't just critiquing for the sake of progress. He's playing into the outrage economy, and that's where it gets messy. What do you guys think? Does this feel like genuine constructive criticism, or is it just another way to boost his own profile by feeding into division? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I really want to know where you stand on this.
Or their political career, or either party. We're just going to do an honest news show. Young Turks Live, 6 o'clock Eastern. Check it out every day, and you'll be amazed. Okay, so, and it's funny that that's like a unique thing in American media. Okay, now let's go to the core of what you're asking, though, in terms of strategy on the left and on the Democratic side.
And I asked this. I asked this question that you're going to get into because obviously you're a progressive and you want to see progressivism win out in the United States, as do I. And so it's not this isn't you're not Reuters, right? So that's why I asked. There is a sense of like there is activism that you want to see happening, and so. Just wanted to like lay that out, but go on.
Yeah, I totally get it. And so to your point, Brian, so what we do on the Young Turks is we give you the facts first, and those are non-negotiable. Then we do perspective journalism, especially me, right? And so that's where I get into strategy and what's the best way for progressives and populists to win, et cetera, et cetera. So let's address that part of it now. So in my opinion, there's three wings of the Democratic Party. There's the establishment wing, there's the populist wing, and then there's what I call the far left wing. Right, and you can call that anything you like, and I'm not trying to be offensive about it. And in fact, in that AmFest discussion, I said, for example, I'm extreme left on gun control. I know that my positions would not win in America. They would be very normal in Europe, but in America, we have no chance of passing my gun control policies. Okay, so now between these three wings, the establishment wing is Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, Pelosi, Clinton, etc. That has led to electoral disaster. And it has done it so with incredible haughtiness. They told us, no, Hillary Clinton is definitely going to win. And this riff-raff Bernie Sanders, nobody wants populism. Well, they were 100% wrong. 100% wrong. So, by the way, Bernie Sanders had a 12-point lead on Election Day in 2016. Obviously, the campaign would have changed that, but I'd much rather start with have a 12-point lead than lose as Hillary Clinton did. But Joe Biden barely won with 43,000 votes in 3 swing states in 2020, even though Trump was awful and he could barely beat him. And then obviously Kamala Harris not only lost every swing state, but the popular vote. So guys, you've got to face reality. Like there's what the world you want and the world as it actually exists. And the world as it actually exists despises this establishment. The right wing does, the left wing does, the middle does, the independents do. So if you keep going, well, look, we've got a new and improved corporate robot, Pete Buttigieg. He's going to go out there and he's going to be in a flannel jacket and he's going to have a populist script. It's never going to work. It's never going to work. America does not want someone who takes donor money, has pretty little talking points, and then does what the donors want, okay? So please stop losing. Please, I'm begging you. If you don't want Trump, you don't want MAGA in charge, stop going with the wrong strategy. So then you've got the far left, and they say, no, we should have maximalist positions. So on trans issues, I don't want a moderate position. Just give me everything. Give me everything. Everybody has to be called a birthing person. Everybody, change sex operations for people under 18 is fine. No, are you okay? They have to be forced. The professional sports leagues have to be forced to allow trans women, etc. Look, even if you think those maximalist positions are wonderful and exactly right and the most moral thing to do, America is not there. You have to win over America so that you can win elections with that strategy. Right now, if you go with my gun control policy or maximalist positions on crime, trans issues, etc., you're going to lose. So please, why are you handing elections to the right wing? I mean, people are yelling at me for talking to the right wing. I mean, the Democratic Party gave these elections. You should be furious at Democratic leadership for handing these elections to the right wing. So what's the part of the Democratic Party that I think is the most popular and the one that is actually the biggest component of the Democratic Party in the left wing is the populist wing. So that's higher minimum wage, paid family leave, Medicare for all, which is just universal health care that the entire world has, free college at the state level, for government state-run colleges like University of Texas, University of North Carolina. I can go on and on. But the economically populist positions we have that are enormously popular, you have to run on them. And then when you get into office, for God's sake, you have to do them. If you don't do them, you cede ground to the right and you seem hypocritical and you lose elections. So in my ideal world, we all coalesce around, obviously Bernie's too old, so someone along those lines, and that person wins the primary. And I promise to you that if that person wins the primary, we're going to just absolutely clean the Republicans' clock in the 2028 general election.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here and push back on something and say that Biden.
All right, so here's my take. Cenk Uygur's breakdown of the left's failures might be important, but the way he spins it just feels off. He spends so much time calling out the far left with things like birthing persons or surgeries for minors. But let's get real. How much of that is actually happening? It comes across like he's borrowing right-wing talking points to act like the fair guy. Now, I get it. The left isn't perfect, and there are definitely areas where the messaging needs serious work. But what does Cenk do? He spends more time punching left than offering real solutions. If you're going to tear into your own side, shouldn't you at least build something in its place? It feels like he's just throwing fuel on the fire, making progressives look chaotic instead of rallying them together. Then there's his whole critique of the Democratic establishment. Sure, he's not wrong that they've made mistakes, but is the answer really to hammer away at them without offering any vision of how to fix things? It's easy to play the critic, especially after an election when people are emotional and looking for someone to blame. But where's the focus on unity? Where's the plan to actually win people over? Instead, it's just outrage, outrage, outrage. This feels more like a play for clicks and views than a real attempt to help progressives win. Timing matters, and the way Cenk is presenting this feels calculated. Critique is fine, but when it's all negative with no solutions, what's the point? It's not accountability. It's opportunism. So, what do you think? Is Cenk being genuine here, or is this just another case of him trying to stay relevant by throwing everyone under the bus? Does this kind of criticism help progressives, or does it just deepen the divide? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I really want to hear what you have to say. This is Cole Talk, and I'll see you in the next video.